Unbelievable reunion, Millionaire discovers his college sweetheart behind the taxi wheel, transforming lives in the heart of Chicago. Jack Anderson was living the dream in downtown Chicago. At 35, he was a self-made millionaire, surrounded by luxury, opulence spilling from every corner of his penthouse. The skyline sparkled like the success he had tirelessly built over years of hard work. Yet amidst the glitzy chaos, the fond memories of his college days played in his mind like an old, cherished film. Those were simpler times, laughing with friends, sharing dreams over cheap beer, and the ache of first love that had both energized and haunted him. One fateful evening, as Jack stepped out of a high-powered meeting, exhaustion weighed on his shoulders. He hailed a taxi, ready to unwind. But as the door swung open and he slid into the back seat, he was blasted with an electric shock of familiarity. Behind the wheel was none other than Sarah Lopez, his college sweetheart. The years melted away in an instant. Her long-buried smile, the sparkle in her eyes, they were all still there. Jack. Sarah blinked, clearly surprised. Is that really you? Jack felt a rush of emotions. The memories swirled, spirited debates in the library, late-night conversations brimming with ambition, dreams shared under the stars. It's me. He grinned, the warmth in her gaze igniting a forgotten flame in his heart. Their banter felt effortless as they wound through the vibrant streets of Chicago. But beneath the surface, a poignant reality simmered. Jack quickly learned that Sarah had taken on the mantle of a single mother, spending nights behind the wheel of her taxi to make ends meet. The contrast was jarring, his life painted in lavish strokes of luxury, while she was sketching a daily fight for survival for her and her daughter. "She's 4, Sarah shared, her voice barely above a whisper, eyes flickering with a mix of hope and something darker. "But she's been sick, diagnosed with leukemia." Jack's heart sank, understanding the weight of those words. The world felt heavy in his chest. Life had thrown Sarah a curveball, yet here she was, still resilient. He couldn't fathom the pain she endured, the financial stresses, the sleepless nights filled with worry. Tough, right? Sarah tried to lighten the moment, but Jack saw through the facade. "I've had it easy," he admitted, a sudden heaviness in the air. How could he be surrounded by so much wealth yet feel utterly devoid of true richness? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they engaged in light-hearted conversation, their past intermingled with the weight of the present. Jack realized he could not turn a blind eye to the divide that lay between them. The city that had once thrummed with youthful promise now seemed a stark reminder of how differently lives could unfold. Their laughter was punctuated by a deeper revelation. Jack found himself grappling not only with the feelings he still had for Sarah but the uncomfortable truth that his success, while fulfilling, might never rival the courage she exhibited daily. A moment of silence settled between them as he contemplated a choice that could forever change his trajectory. Could he bridge the gap and offer not just friendship, but support when she needed it most? As Jack looked into Sarah's soulful eyes, he pondered an undeniable question: could old love foster new beginnings? A twist of fate awaited them both. Jack tried to push aside the growing weight of his thoughts, but it clung to him like the humid summer air. As he watched the neon lights of Chicago flicker past, illuminating Sarah's face in fleeting colors, he felt time slow around them. It was surreal, being in her presence again after all these years, and yet here they were, two souls reconnected amidst the clamor of city life. Where to? Sarah's voice broke the silence, but it didn't seem to matter anymore. The destination felt irrelevant. He glanced at her, noticing the way her fingers drummed anxiously against the steering wheel. Something about her demeanor snapped him back to the present. "Can we just drive?" he asked softly, almost unsure of himself. The taxi sped forward, weaving through traffic, but Jack felt like they were floating in their own bubble. "Tell me everything." Sarah's hesitation was palpable. "You really want to hear?" She half smiled, but her eyes held a story they both knew was heavy. "More than you know," Jack replied, determination building within him. Sarah took a deep breath as if weighing the words she would lay bare. "After college, life took a turn I never expected. I thought I was making good decisions, but then Sarah came along." Her voice softened at the mention of her daughter. "She was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I never imagined we'd face something like this. It's been tough." Jack nodded, feeling a knot tighten in his chest. "And you're doing this all on your own?" The admiration in his voice surprised him. "Yeah," she said quietly, "it's just me and her. I work as much as I can. Days are long, and the nights are harder. But I keep going for her no matter how hard it gets." That fiery spirit he remembered from college flashed in her eyes, and Jack couldn't help but feel inspired. "You're stronger than you know," he said, the weight of his own life experiences juxtaposing against her struggles. "Sometimes, it doesn't feel that way." She paused, wiping away an unseen tear. "I thought I had everything figured out. But then life hits you, and you realize it doesn't really care about your plans." Jack considered this as they crossed over the Chicago River, the glittering lights reflecting off the water's surface. "You're doing an incredible job hustling every day. You should be proud." Sarah smiled softly, but the sadness still lingered. "Thank you, but pride doesn't pay the bills." Jack felt the sorrow seep into his heart. "What if I could help? Not just with money or resources, but I don't need charity, Jack," Sarah interjected, her tone sharpening. "I can't take handouts. I can manage." Understanding flickered between them. She had her pride, just like him. He felt the tension from her words settle uneasily, but he knew he didn't mean to insult her independence. "I wasn't suggesting charity," he stated firmly. "We could work together. I want to make a difference." Silence engulfed the cab for a moment, broken only by the sound of the engine. Jack felt the weight of his proposal hang in the air. Did he have the right to meddle in her life? Finally, Sarah turned to him, her eyes searching. "I don't know how that would work. I don't want to mix our lives. You have your world, and I have mine. And maybe they could meet?" Jack suggested gently, leaning forward. "Maybe we're both meant for more than what we've settled for." She hesitated, the rapid breathing betraying her uncertainty. With uncertainty dancing in her eyes, Jack decided he'd step carefully. "Let's take it slow," he said, attempting to bring back a light-hearted spirit. "We can catch up on all the years lost. Darkness can't overshadow the light." As the city blurred by, Jack knew deep down that the simple reunion was only the beginning. There was still so much to explore, to uncover. Not just about Sarah, but also about himself. Could rekindled feelings lead to a new reality? Or were they destined to remain echoes of the past? The stakes were unspoken but present in the way their fingers almost brushed as Jack turned, intrigue flickering in the space between them, but just as the conversation started to settle into a rhythm, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, immediate worry etching her features. "I need to pull over," she said quickly, her expression shifting. "It's my daughter." Jack watched her urgency ignite, surrendering to a more pressing reality as he gripped his own heart. What news awaited Sarah just beyond the door? The taxi swerved to the side of the road, the sudden stop jolting Jack back to the moment. Sarah didn't waste a second. She was already dialing as she stepped out, her focus laser-tight. Jack swallowed, uncertainty slicing through the excitement that had built just moments before. Outside, the city buzzed, cars honking, pedestrians weaving around each other, but Sarah's world had narrowed down to that small screen. He watched her pace slightly, her voice low and urgent. "Sarah?" He called out softly, unsure if he should intrude. But she waved him off, her expression taut. He glanced through the window, the rain beginning to patter against the glass, an ominous rhythm that mirrored the anxiety tightening in his chest. After a few moments that felt like hours, Sarah turned away from the phone, her eyes wide and trembling. Jack's heart raced. Was it something serious? He stepped out, braving the drizzle, wanting to offer support but not sure how. "What's wrong?" he asked, concern thick in his voice. I need to get to her," she managed, her breath hitching. "She's at my mom's, and I told her I'd be back by now. I don't want her to worry." The fear revealed a depth of her devotion, igniting an instinctive need to help. "Okay, let us go then." Jack responded quickly, ready to take charge. "I can drive us." Her eyes flickered with surprise, a mix of gratitude and reluctance. "You don't have to, Jack. I can. No, let me. I want to." He gestured toward the taxi, which had come to a standstill behind them. "Let us get a move on." As they climbed back into the vehicle, Jack felt the gravity of the moment. The urgency crackled around them like electricity. He grabbed the driver's attention, quickly giving directions. Sarah's phone remained in her hand, but she didn't look at it again. Instead, she stared out at the passing lights, her mind seemingly far away. After several moments of silence, Jack spoke again, trying to fill the void. "You're an amazing mom, you know that. You put Sarah first, no matter what." Her lips pressed together, forming a thin line. "I just hope I'm enough for her. I don't want to fail." The vulnerability in her eyes made Jack's heart ache. "You're doing everything right." He leaned a little closer, wanting her to feel his sincerity. "Your past doesn't define you. It's what you do now that matters." She finally turned to him, searching his face as if seeking reassurance. "It feels heavy sometimes," she confessed softly. "Like I'm carrying this weight alone." Jack felt a swell of compassion. "You're not alone, Sarah. Not anymore." But before she could reply, her phone buzzed again, breaking their moment. She glanced quickly, biting her lip. "It's her." "I have to answer it, please," he urged. "I'll be here." She nodded, pressing the phone to her ear. Jack watched as the joy and relief washed over her features. Her daughter's laughter filled the space, an innocent sound punctuating the tension that had thickened just moments ago. "Hey baby, I'm almost there." Sarah's voice softened into a melody he hadn't realized he missed. He sat quietly, suddenly feeling like a spectator in a deeply personal moment. The joy on Sarah's face as she listened is something unusual, a flicker of light amid the shadows that often clouded her life. "That's my girl," Sarah said, her voice filled with warmth. "Just a few more minutes. I promise." As she hung up, the taxi slowed, the familiar blocks leading them to her mom's place. Sarah turned to Jack, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, a blend of gratitude and dread. "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you tonight." Jack let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "You're welcome. I'm glad I was here." But his mind churned with what it could mean moving forward. Was this their turning point? Could he remain a part of her life in a way that would make a real difference? As they pulled to a stop, Jack caught sight of her mother standing at the gate, her expression a mix of concern and relief. But it was Sarah's face, lit up with love for her daughter, that captivated him. He stepped out of the taxi, feeling that familiar pull toward her once again. Was this connection rekindled enough to last? "Let us get you inside." As they walked toward the house, Jack realized one thing was certain: they were about to take the first real step into this new chapter. What awaited them on the other side of that door? The door swung open just as they reached the porch, a gust of warmth spilling out into the chilly night air. Sarah's mother stood there, her arms open wide. "There you are. I was worried sick." Sarah rushed into her mother's embrace, collapsing into the safety and familiarity of those arms. Jack hung back a little, watching this reunion unfold. There was something utterly heartwarming in the way mother and daughter held on to each other, wiping away the tension and doubt of the past hour with the comfort of love. "Mom, I'm so sorry for being late. Sarah's voice trailed off, emotion breaking through as she pointed toward Jack, who felt suddenly like an uninvited guest. "It's okay, sweetheart." Her mother turned, giving Jack a grateful smile. "Thank you for helping her." He nodded, feeling a rush of pride mingling with embarrassment. "Just doing what I could." Sarah pulled back from her mother, still holding her hand tightly. "I was in a taxi with Jack when I got the call. He insisted on driving me here." Her mother's eyebrows raised in surprise. "Well, I'm glad he did. I know how much she worries." "Yeah, I guess I do," Sarah said, her voice only a whisper now. She glanced at Jack, her gaze betraying a mixture of gratitude and something deeper that she hadn't quite articulated yet. "Come in, both of you." Her mother insisted, motioning toward the warmth of the living room. Jack followed them inside, feeling like a part of an intimate moment. The house was cozy, framed pictures littered the walls, family memories, cherished and forever preserved. As they settled onto the couch, Sarah perched on the edge, her nervous energy still palpable. Jack took a seat across from her, allowing the warmth of the space to wash over him, even as thoughts swirled in his mind. "Would you like some tea or hot chocolate?" "I just made a fresh batch," her mother offered, moving toward the kitchen. "Yes, please," Sarah answered eagerly. Once her mother was out of earshot, Sarah turned back to Jack, her eyes searching his. "I can't believe you came with me, that you stayed. I couldn't just leave you hanging." "Not after everything," Jack replied, the words lingering in the air heavy with meaning. Her smile returned, softening her features. "You really don't know how much this means to me. Just being honest." He leaned forward, the space between them beginning to feel charged again. "And if you want to talk about everything, I'm here." Sarah's expression hardened for an instant, and Jack's heart began to race. "It's complicated, Jack. It's not just about me. My decisions affect her, and you don't know the whole story." "I want to know," he said sincerely. "Whatever it is, you can trust me." Just then, her mother returned, 2 steaming mugs in each hand. "Here we go. Chocolate for you, and green tea for Sarah. It'll help with those nerves." "Thanks, Mom." Sarah accepted her cup, her grip trembling slightly as she took a sip. Jack wondered if the warmth from the drink would ease the escalating tension. They settled into quiet for a moment, the gentle clinking of mugs and the soft sounds of the home around them made Jack feel oddly at peace. But he could sense the weight in the air. A question still danced among them, waiting to be voiced. Sarah finally began, her voice steady yet hesitant. Jack's pulse quickened as he leaned in, eager for what she might say next. "Can we talk about where we go from here?" The question hung in the air, intensifying anything but casual. Jack held her gaze, their hearts in sync, both aware of the momentous shift that lay before them. Would they step forward or would they retreat back into shadows of the past? As he opened his mouth to answer, the sound of laughter erupted from outside, breaking the silence. Jack turned to the window, caught off guard. He could see children playing in the rain, carefree, unburdened, a stark contrast to the weight of adult conversations. When he turned back to Sarah, he realized she was holding her breath, waiting for a response that felt monumental. Was he ready to leap into the unknown with her? Before he could find the right words, her phone buzzed again, a sharp interruption. "Sorry," she murmured, glancing down, the look on her face shifting from anticipation to dread. "What is it?" Jack asked, concern creeping back into his voice, feeling the fragile atmosphere beginning to fracture. With one look, he could tell whatever was coming next might change everything. "Jack, it's about my daughter." The weight of that simple sentence carried a lifetime of implications. What could be so urgent? And how would it affect them moving forward? As her eyes widened, Jack braced himself, knowing they were on the brink of something that could either bring them together or push them apart. Would they stand strong through the storm that was just beginning to brew? Sarah's hands shook as she read the text. "It's from the daycare," she whispered, her voice barely a murmur. "Ella's not feeling well. They want me to pick her up." Jack felt his heart drop. A child? Ella? The quiet girl he hardly knew but now realized meant everything to Sarah. It was as if a piece of their potential connection had just been snatched away, leaving behind a gaping emptiness. "Is she okay?" he asked, leaning forward. "I don't know," Sarah replied, her fingers trembling as she typed an urgent response. "She might just have a cold," but her voice trailed off, fear lining her features. Jack could see it in her eyes, the struggle between her need to be there for Ella and her desire to confront whatever lay between them. "Go," he urged gently. "You need to be with her. I'll wait here for you." "No, I can't leave you. We were finally talking about." "I understand," he interrupted, frustration creeping into his voice. But the warmth that had blossomed between them now felt like it was wilting. "But she's your priority. I can't compete with that." The tension was palpable, a knife edge between their two worlds. Sarah glanced at the door, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. I want to explain everything," but she took a deep breath, clutching her mug as if it were a lifeline. Jack noticed her mother peeking in from the kitchen, concern written all over her face. She must have heard the intensity in their voices, but now wasn't the time to address it. They were already treading on ground that felt too unsettled. "Sarah, please. Your daughter needs you right now," he said softly, feeling his heart crack a little more with every second. Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes. "You're right," she whispered, finally relenting. I just hate that I have to leave without really talking about everything." "Let us finish this conversation soon," he promised, tucking his hands between his knees, trying to keep them steady. "We can figure it out. But you have to go." With one last lingering glance, she stood, the decision weighing heavily in her posture. Jack caught a quick flash of determination behind her fear. "I'll be right back. I promise." Her voice held a fragility that pulled at his heart, but he nodded, knowing she needed her daughter now more than anything. The rustle of her getting ready filled the silence, each movement heavy with unspoken words. Even as she pulled on her coat and grabbed her bag, he felt the air between them shift. It was like a fragile web threatening to snap. "Your number," she said suddenly, pulling out a pen from her purse. "I need to have it just in case." She scribbled it quickly on the back of an old receipt and handed it to him. "Text me as soon as I'm gone." "I will," he replied, clutching the paper as if it were his only link to her. As she slipped out of the house, Jack sank back into the couch, his heart heavy. He felt abandoned suddenly, the warmth of the room now chilled by her absence. He looked around at the family pictures again, images of laughter, of love. It made his heart ache knowing that while he was hoping to build something with Sarah, she had another life entirely. One filled with a sweet little girl who may need her mother more than he needed Sarah beside him. The door clicked shut behind her, and Jack knew there was so much left unsaid between them. What if she didn't come back? The thought tightened his chest that a few moments later, he could hear muffled voices from outside, laughter trailing off into the gray mist of the storm. But what remained inside felt like a pile of unanswered questions urgent to be voiced that he let out a slow breath, glancing at his phone. Should he text her, or give her space? In the quiet, Jack felt an ever-present ache in the pit of his stomach. Outside, the sky seemed to darken, promising rain. Why did this feel like a turning point? Just then, his phone buzzed. He nearly jumped at the sound, his heart racing. It was a text from Sarah. "I'll be back as soon as I can. Please don't go anywhere." But behind those words, what else might she have wanted to say? He stared at the screen, ready to reach out but realizing they were still standing on shaky ground. Would they be able to rebuild this moment later? As the silence fell heavier, Jack realized their journey was nowhere near over. Whatever awaited them was yet to be discovered, with whispers of love and fears intertwining. He had to know the truth, but was she ready to share it all when she returned? Jack sat on the couch, the ticking clock on the wall echoing the uncertainty in his mind. He had half a mind to pace the room, to busy himself with anything other than the gnawing thoughts about Sarah and Ella. As he considered the sound of rain beginning to patter against the window, he felt the weight of each minute they spent apart getting heavier. He picked up his phone, staring at the message one more time before setting it down. It felt almost clingy to text her again, but the worry for both her and Ella was sinking in. Would she be okay? He forced himself to take deep breaths, but the unease didn't fade. His gaze wandered to the window, where gray clouds churned in the distance, matching the tumult in his heart. It was just a cold, he tried to convince himself, but he couldn't shake the concern. For a moment, he closed his eyes and imagined Sarah rushing into the daycare, scooping Ella into her arms. Would the girl's small body be warm, or even worse, burning with fever? Just then, he heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps on the porch. His heart raced again. Was it Sarah? The door creaked open, and he held his breath, his eyes darting to the entrance. But it wasn't Sarah, it was her mother, standing in the doorway, concern etched onto her face. Is everything all right? She asked, stepping inside and shaking off the rain. Heard the thunder and thought it might be nice to check in, she continued, her tone light, but the worry in her eyes was clear. Ella is sick, Jack replied, guilt flooding him as he realized he had just wanted to be alone with those thoughts. A hint of panic flickered across her mother's face, and for a fleeting moment, he felt guilty for pulling Sarah into his world of worry. Oh no, poor thing, her mother murmured, frowning as she looked around the living room. I hope she is okay. Sarah must be beside herself. Jack nodded, the truth of her words settling heavily in the air. I didn't expect to care so much so fast. His voice was raw, and he wondered if he had even said that out loud. A nervous laugh escaped him, but it was tinged with sorrow. Makes me feel like I'm intruding into their lives. Her mother placed a hand on his shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze. You're not intruding. You care about her. That's what matters. Remember, she needs both you and Ella in her life. He appreciated the sentiment, yet it struck him like a chord in an unresolved song. Could he really fit into their world, with all the complications of motherhood intertwined? Just then, his phone buzzed again, and he grabbed it eagerly, hoping for news. A group chat notification from Sarah, messages flying in from her friends who knew how much Ella adored those little handmade dolls. A flurry of emoji hearts and googly-eyed creatures sent in hopes of cheering the little girl up. A smile crept across his face, but it faded quickly as those voices faded out, leaving the room silent again. Her mother glanced at him, an eyebrow raised. What is that? Nothing, he replied quickly, stifling a sigh. I can tell it's not nothing, she pressed gently, curiosity dancing in her eyes. It's just Sarah's friends. They're trying to cheer Ella up. Her mother nodded knowingly, setting a reassuring tone. Trust me, those girls will lift her spirits in no time. Just as Jack was about to respond, something nagged at the back of his mind. Was Sarah leaning too hard on her friends? Shouldn't he be doing more? Then again, wasn't he that part of the challenge of being a father figure? He wrestled with those thoughts. The uncertainty of what he should be doing gnawed at him like an unrelenting itch. Maybe I should do something for her, he mused aloud, standing up suddenly. Like what? Her mother asked, a look of intrigue lighting her expression. I don't know. Something to let them both know I care. As he spoke, a serious thought crossed his mind. He needed to be more than just a distraction for Sarah. He wanted to be there for Ella too. Before he knew it, Jack was already searching for his wallet in the back pocket of his jeans, ruled by the impulse that maybe he could drop something off for them, something small, but meaningful. Just as he turned, ready to figure out a plan, his phone buzzed again, louder this time. Jack, I need you. It was Sarah's text, raw and urgent. His heart stopped for a moment. What could be wrong? Would he be ready for whatever it was? The storm outside intensified, matching the quickening pace of his heart. And in that moment, he was fully aware that their lives were about to intersect in ways none of them had prepared for. What had he truly signed on for? With a deep breath, Jack felt the weight of choice settling upon him like the dark clouds outside. This wasn't just about finding answers anymore. It was time to step up. As he texted back, a sudden thought struck him. Was he prepared to face the complexities of Sarah's life? The pendulum of uncertainty continued to swing, and the true journey was just beginning. Would he be able to help them both when everything felt so fragile? The rain poured heavier outside, drowning out most noise, but in his gut, he felt a storm brewing within him. A call for bravery that resonated louder than the thunder itself. Jack felt a chill run down his spine as he read Sarah's message again. The urgency in her words clawed at him, igniting a deep sense of responsibility he'd never anticipated. He quickly texted back, "What do you need, Sarah?" "I'm here." He hesitated, staring at the words until the little dots appeared, indicating she was typing. His heart thudded as he shifted nervously on the couch, the tension mounting. A moment later, another message popped up. "Ella is really sick, Jack. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm scared." Those words hit him hard. The fear in her text reflected his own rising anxiety. He had pictured this moment countless times, the idea of being there when it mattered the most, and now the reality of it demanded action. Without wasting a second, Jack stood up and walked toward the front door as if it would guide him to where he needed to be. "I'll be right there." "Hang tight," he sent back, throwing on his jacket and grabbing his keys. "Please just come." Jack didn't need to be told twice. He rushed outside into the downpour, the rain hitting him like cool needles. It felt refreshing even amid the chaos brewing inside. He jumped into his car, the sound of the rain pounding on the roof mixing with the pounding of his heart. "Focus," he whispered to himself. The road blurred through the sheets of rain, each turn taking him closer to Sarah and Ella. He kept imagining what he'd see when he arrived, the worry etched in Sarah's face, the small figure of Ella sunk into the couch, all bundled up with a cold compress on her forehead. As he navigated the familiar streets, his mind raced. What if Ella wasn't just sick? What if Sarah had reached a breaking point? Or what if she felt completely alone? The idea stung, and he pushed harder on the gas, desperate to reassure them both. The sun had vanished completely behind a curtain of clouds, but somehow, in his gut, he felt a spark of resolve igniting. Sarah needed him. And Ella needed someone, too. He took a deep breath as he parked outside their apartment. The rain had started to ease, but the air was heavy with unspoken words. Pushing open the door, he sprinted up the steps. Before he could knock, the door swung open, revealing a frazzled Sarah. Her eyes widened in surprise, relief evident on her face. "Jack." "Hey," he said breathlessly. He took a moment to really look at her. Her hair was a mess, and there were dark circles under her eyes. But beneath it all, her spirit shone through. This was the woman he had come to admire so deeply. "Ella," she started, her voice trembling, "she's in the bedroom. She's burning up." Jack felt his heart plunge. "Let me check on her," he said gently, stepping further inside. As he moved down the hallway, he could hear Ella's soft whimpers. Opening the bedroom door, he found the little girl lying in bed, her cheeks flushed, a stuffed animal clutched tightly in her arms. "Oh, Ella," he breathed. He walked over and sat gently on the edge of the bed, brushing a few strands of hair away from her forehead. A comforting silence enveloped them for a moment as he absorbed the little girl's vulnerability, the weight of her illness pressing down on them all. "She might need some medicine," Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. "I just don't know how to keep her comfortable." Jack looked back at her, determination filling him. "Okay, let us figure it out together. This isn't just on you." As he leaned closer, whispering soft reassurances to Ella, something profound shifted within him. In that moment, he understood that he was no longer just a visitor in their lives. He was stepping into the role of a protector, someone who could be part of their healing. Yet, looming in the background was the reality they hadn't yet faced, the complexities that came with caring for both a mother and a daughter. Just as they began talking about what to do next, Sarah's phone buzzed, drawing their attention. It was a call from the pediatrician's office. "How would you feel about arranging a visit?" Sarah asked, her eyes darting between Jack and the phone, uncertainty creeping back in. "What's the alternative?" Jack replied, his voice steady now with purpose. They locked eyes, each knowing that the steps they took from here would dictate the rhythm of their intertwined lives. Would they move forward together or retreat back into their fears? That decision loomed heavy in the stillness, waiting for their response. Jack could feel the weight of their choice pressing down, and as the phone rang again, he took Sarah's hand in a simple gesture, yet loaded with promise. "Let us do this," he said, ready to step fully into the journey ahead. And in that moment, he wondered if this was where everything truly began. As the phone rang, the room was thick with tension. Jack's grip tightened around Sarah's hand as she exhaled sharply, staring at the caller ID. "What if they can't see us tonight?" she murmured, hope slipping away with every passing second. "Don't think like that," Jack encouraged, his voice firm but gentle. "We'll get Ella the help she needs. We just have to believe it." He watched as Sarah pressed the phone to her ear, her expression morphing into one of anxious anticipation. "Hello. Yes, I'm Sarah. Yes, my daughter. Is she really sick?" Her voice quaked, but she steadied herself, shifting her focus back to Ella, who lay helplessly on the bed, the stuffed animal pressed against her chest. The few moments that passed felt like hours. Jack brushed his thumb gently against Sarah's, lending her what strength he could share. He could feel the warmth of her skin under his, an incongruity against the chill that lingered in the air. Finally, Sarah's voice broke through the haze of Jack's thoughts. "Yes, we can be there in 20 minutes." A sigh of relief escaped her lips as she hung up the phone. "They'll see us. We have to go now." "What can I do?" Jack asked, his heart racing again. "Just stay close. I can't do this alone." He nodded, his resolve unwavering. "I'm with you." Jack hurried to gather items he thought they might need: water, a few blankets, and Ella's favorite toy, a small teddy bear often referred to as Mr. Cuddles. He felt the weight of the bear in his hands, its softness promising comfort. As he moved about the room, he overheard Sarah in the background, quietly reassuring Ella, brushing the hair from her sweaty forehead. "Just a little longer, sweetheart," Sarah whispered, her voice laced with tenderness. "Jack is here, he'll help us." With every second that passed, Jack's urgency heightened. He joined her by Ella's side again, kneeling down to be eye level with the little girl. He offered a smile, hoping to illuminate the haze of illness overshadowing her face. "Ella, we're going to get you some medicine, and then you're going to feel better, okay?" Ella's eyelids fluttered, and for a brief moment, Jack thought he caught a hint of a smile. The slightest nod of her head was enough to ignite a flicker of hope within him. "Let us get going, then. We don't want to keep the doctor waiting," Jack said as he helped Sarah gather Ella into her arms, careful not to jostle her. He worried about the girl's fragile state but admired Sarah's fierce strength, her determination that shot through the air like a beacon. When they reached the car, the rain had slowed to a light drizzle, reflecting Jack's internal shift from fear to resolve. He opened the back door, helping Sarah slide Ella in while keeping up a comforting banter. "Do you like the rain?" he asked Ella. "I know a fantastic story about a very brave rabbit who jumped in puddles." Ella's eyes sparkled for a moment. "Bunny jump?" she whispered, the corners of her lips trying to rise. "Yes. Bunny jump," Jack replied enthusiastically, locking eyes with Sarah to share a hopeful glance. There was magic in small victories, moments of raw connection. He slid into the front seat, and within moments they were on their way, the car weaving through the soft remnants of rain-soaked streets. As they drove, Jack glanced back to see Sarah wiping tears from her eyes. "Hey, it's going to be okay," he reassured her. "We're in this together now. You're not alone." Just as they made their way to the office, Jack's phone vibrated. A text from a hidden number flashed across the screen. The message read, "I know where you are and I'm coming." A chill swept down his spine, the reality of the moment warring against the warmth he had built with Sarah and Ella. He quickly cleared the screen, hiding it from Sarah as he turned to face her, uncertainty creeping back into his chest. What did it mean? Who was trying to reach him? In the stillness of that car ride, a delicate balance formed a newfound family at the cusp of healing, while dark shadows loomed unexpectedly on the horizon. As Jack steadied himself, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much bigger than they had anticipated. Jack's heart raced as he concentrated on the road, each pulse echoing in the silence that filled the car. Sarah was visibly distressed. He could see that the text had distracted him from their mission. He focused on her, wanting to be her anchor in a storm. "Just a few more minutes," he said, if only to reassure her. The city lights blurred in the drizzle, each glow a reminder of the life outside their current struggle. Ella, nestled between blankets and Mr. Cuddles, had fallen silent, her tiny breaths the only sound breaking the static hum of worry in the air. Jack reached back, brushing his fingertips against Ella's arm, praying she wouldn't wake up in pain. As they pulled up at the clinic, Jack's anxiety clashed with hope in equal measure. He turned off the engine and hopped out, rushing to Sarah's side to help her out of the back seat. Every move was deliberate, calculated, as if each second mattered. He gently helped Sarah carry Ella toward the entrance, their feet splashing through puddles. Once inside, the waiting room was awash in clinical sterility, the smell of antiseptic filling the air. A stark contrast to the warmth they hoped to bring back into their lives. Sarah squeezed Jack's arm, a silent request for calm amidst her own swirling fears. "Let's just breathe," Jack whispered, his voice steady. "We're here now." But just then, a familiar face caught his eye. It sent shockwaves through his chest, a sense of déjà vu he couldn't shake. Standing by the reception desk was Jenna, the girl who had once been the brightest light in his life. "What are you doing here?" he thought, trying to push the flood of memories aside. Jenna hadn't changed much, her brown hair still flowed freely, her presence radiating confidence. She hadn't seen him yet, and he was grateful for that. He didn't know how he'd explain his presence here. "I need to focus," Jack murmured to himself as he shifted his gaze away, focusing back on Sarah. Ella needed them. A nurse stepped out from a side door and motioned for them. "Are you the parents?" she asked, her tone professional but warm. "Yes, this is Ella," Sarah replied, her voice tinged with desperation. "She's really sick." They hurried forward, navigating the sterile hallway filled with the soft echoes of other lives in turmoil. As they settled into an exam room, Jack's mind stayed partly tuned to Jenna. Did she know he was here? Did she know what he was dealing with? As the doctor entered and began to assess Ella, Jack felt torn. He wanted to stay focused on his mini family, but Jenna's sudden presence threatened to unravel the delicate thread of connection he had fought to build. "Ella, sweetheart, you're going to be okay," Sarah spoke softly to their daughter, her voice trembling as she held Ella's hand tightly. Jack forced himself to listen. He tuned into the doctor as they discussed symptoms, treatments, and what to expect. The medical jargon blurred together, but one sentence struck hard: "We will help her." Hope surged again, pushing away the encroaching shadows. It wasn't over yet. Then, as the doctor stepped out, Jack's phone buzzed once more, another message from that same hidden number. Gripped by a knot of unease, he glanced at the screen. This time, it read, "I suggest you make a decision fast." His breath caught, and in that moment, he felt the weight of the world crash down on him again. Sarah looked up, sensing his distraction. "Jack, what is it?" she asked, her brow furrowed with concern. He hesitated, bracing himself for the weight of his next words. Did he tell her everything? Or would that only shatter the fragile moment of hope they had reclaimed for Ella? There was no way to know what came next, but one thing was clear: facing whatever had just been unleashed would be a fight, one that would test the very fabric of their new family. This wasn't just about Ella's health, it was becoming something larger, a battle against darkness that refused to be ignored. What would be revealed next? Would Jack stand firm or falter as old and new confront one another? The minutes stretched on like hours as Jack wrestled with uncertainty and conflicting emotions. Batteries of thoughts flooded him, each competing for attention, but he felt the most important one this moment was about Sarah and Ella. It had to be. He shoved his phone into his pocket and turned fully to Sarah, who was anxiously biting her lip. "Everything's going to be fine," he said with a confidence he hoped would rub off on her. "Ella's here with her mom. She's got you." Sarah nodded, though the shadow of fear still lingered in her eyes. A moment of silence filled the room until the doctor returned, a clipboard held tightly against her chest. "All right, we're going to do our best to handle this situation. Ella needs to be observed for a few hours, and I would recommend a few tests to rule out anything we need to be concerned about," she stated, her voice steady. Jack watched Sarah's shoulders relax just a bit, relief creeping in as the doctor continued explaining the protocol. It was a breath of fresh air. After everything she'd been through, after all they had faced that day together, Ella was still in their corner, and they could still protect her. As the doctor spoke, Jack felt a warmth spread through him. He reached over and grasped Sarah's hand, offering her a reassuring squeeze. "You've got this, and we're in it together." The doctor's words began to fade into a background hum as Jack's mind wandered back to Jenna. Then, another buzz snapped him out of it. He pulled the phone back out and glanced at the screen. "You should have picked up when I called," it read. A sense of dread took hold. What did that mean? Forcing himself to set the device aside, Jack focused back on the now, on the task at hand. He tuned into the sound of the doctor telling them they could stay right next to Ella while they waited for the test results. Sarah's face lit up as she turned back to their daughter, a smile breaking through the heaviness. "See, baby. You're going to be okay," she said softly, her voice a melody of hope. Ella blinked slowly, her weary eyes locking on her mother. "Mommy, can I hold Mr. Cuddles?" she asked in a tiny voice. "Of course. I'll get him for you." Jack stood up and grabbed the stuffed bear from the side of Ella's bed, handing it to Sarah, who tucked it in beside Ella. In that moment, Jack felt something incredible swell within him, a sense of belonging. "Mr. Cuddles is going to keep you safe," he said, his heartache melting into something warm. But just then, Sarah turned to him, tears shimmering in her eyes. "Thank you for being here, Jack. I can't imagine doing this alone." His chest tightened in the best way, the urgency of their journey filling him with determination. "You don't have to do it alone," he promised her. "I want to be here for both of you." The sincerity in his statement hung in the air as they stared at each other, brimming with unvoiced revelation. This was his chance to build something meaningful, to step into whatever roles they needed him to fulfill. He sensed the waves of fear washing away, replaced by the foundation of hope, partnership, and shared purpose. They could be a family, in whatever form that took. Just then, Ella whispered, "Mommy, can I have some water, please?" The simple request pulled them back into reality. "Of course, sweet pea," Sarah said, pouring water into a cup brought along by the nurse earlier. As Jack helped Sarah hold the cup to Ella's lips, he felt defenses beginning to reconcile. This moment mattered, and together they were creating the first chapters of their new lives, but amid the warmth of their quiet connection, Jack caught glimpses of shadows lingering at the edges of his thoughts. Reality was not just in the waiting room, it pulsed around them, threatening the precious attention they'd finally started to share. While they waited, Jack took a deep breath, the fresh sense of purpose solidifying his resolve. He would protect this little family at all costs, whatever that meant. Just then, he felt his phone vibrate again. This time, he looked down and saw a single call alert from the hidden number. He hesitated, uncertainty gripping him. Should he ignore it? He needed to focus on Sarah and Ella. Yet the urgency of that silent plea rang clear. Answers awaited. Looking over at Sarah's face, illuminated with love for her daughter, he noticed a flicker of determination reflected back toward him. "Sarah, I have to take this call," he said, unsure of how she'd react. Her expression softened. "Go ahead. I'll be right here with Ella." The words washed over him, holding a promise. With a nod, Jack stepped out into the small hallway, closing the door softly behind him, whispering a silent prayer that things wouldn't spiral. He tapped the green button, and a chilling voice spoke on the other end. "You didn't think this was over, did you?" As those words echoed through him, Jack felt a chill shoot down his spine. Description, shadows, and choices loomed. The past wasn't ready to let go, but he pivoted toward a single truth: their love was stronger than any threat. "I'm ready," he declared, standing tall in the face of uncertainty, "whatever it takes." And in that moment, he knew they were all going to fight for love, for family, and ultimately, for the future they all deserved. Now was the time to embrace their new beginning, side by side. So as the last of the rain drizzled outside, Jack returned to Sarah and Ella, fully ready to embark on whatever journey lay ahead. You need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss what is coming next. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this emotional ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.